Yeah, I think they obviously two great athletes. First of all, I think they've in the Lions series they've showed what they can do. I think both of them have got great skill sets. But for us, I think we've put a lot of hard work in over these last 3 weeks, and for us, it's about going out there and executing what we've been training, and looking forward to the challenge.
Well, we played them last year when Joe Schmidt came in, and we were aware of, from when he worked in Ireland and the work he'd done with New Zealand, we were aware of his kind of philosophy and the way he plays, and you could see a lot of that, but you could just see it developing from last year into this year. And I think that they play some very direct rugby with an awful lot of detail, and the breakdown is a massive area of their game. I think if you look at it from a timeline, when they were at the last World Cup, they looked a little bit rudderless. And when Joe came in, he's a brilliant coach. His level of detail that he brings is phenomenal. And I saw the impact that he had in Ireland, by making players play much higher than their perceived capacity. And I think he's come in and he's got a lot of he's got Australia firing again now. I wasn't surprised because I knew they were better than they showed in the first test, and I think they were a lot more confrontational. They're obviously massively disappointed to lose the second test, but they were right in the mix. And I think that the narrative that's out there now is that Australian rugby is on the up, and they'll be looking to target us and try and keep building that. Yeah, you could definitely say that, because I think for most teams in attack, getting quick ball is going to be the big thing for them. I think when you look at how meticulously Joe Schmidt plans his plays, and whilst they didn't show a huge amount in 1 to 3 phases, you could see that the players were really aligned to a plan that might stretch 5-6 phases, which, to retain the ball and be in the right place, you have to be really, really detailed with your breakdown. I think that we look at that, there are 2 players in instantly all the time. Well, our system won't change much, but what you do is you'll emphasize certain areas a little bit more. And I think when you bring in Tupu, when you bring in Valetini, and you bring in Skelton, they're massive ball carriers, and they can give you huge momentum, which then feeds into the breakdown narrative, and they get quicker balls. So that was obviously a big part of it, and I suppose that they also give them a little bit more of a confrontational edge outside of play. Yeah, I think none of us were pleased with how we performed in Italy 1, and we conceded a maul try in that game. We also conceded a maul try against Georgia, so that's something that teams pick up and they look to go after. So we've invested a lot of time into our maul defence, but I think there's always going to be something for you to work on, and I think we conceded 40 points across the 4 games, if you include the Babas as well. But it was a little bit like this. We started well against the Babas, really poor against Italy 1, good against Italy 2, and then kind of a little bit in between with Georgia. So there's definitely a lot of scope for us to improve, and on the back of the level of intensity that the Australians have been playing, we've tried to replicate that with our training.
Absolutely. I think we obviously drive extremely high standards in this environment. I think it's extremely competitive with the level of players and in each position. I think we push each other hard in training, and I think we've obviously had the points that Jerry's spoken about, and they've obviously been things we've worked on in these last couple of weeks, mixed with a bit of conditioning, or actually a lot of conditioning. So yeah, I think. I'm definitely talking for myself here, and I think the other guys will say the same thing, but I sit here very confident in the level of preparation that we've put in, and feel that I'm confident going into the weekend, and very excited as well. So we'll have to see Saturday. I believe we've worked hard. I think everyone's obviously got their opinions on battle hard and not, but I think it's a way you pitch up every day to training, the way you pitch up with the mindset to whatever you approach throughout your week. And I think for us, again, it's a good opportunity for us to represent South Africa, and I don't think anyone takes it lightly in this environment. So yeah, very excited for the challenge, and confident that we'll be up for it. Yeah, I think it comes back to what I said now, is that there's so much competition in each position. I think Andre was extremely good in all the test matches he played, and Dugas has shown over the years what an asset he is for this team. So very excited to play with Andre. I've played with him many times, actually quite a bit against Australia. So excited for him to show, and also excited to get another opportunity to play again. I think Kanan's also involved, so very excited to see what he can do when he comes on. But I think it's a great opportunity for a lot of guys.
I think it's a phenomenal competition, because you look back on last year, and I think the Argentina were like the dark horses that came out of nowhere and shocked New Zealand, and they beat us as well. So I think it's there's no weak team in the championship. That is it. And I suppose last year, if I was to look at it objectively now, the fact that Joe Schmidt had only just taken over after the World Cup meant that the Wallabies probably started slowly, and we benefited from that because we played them early in the championship. I don't think that's going to be the case now. So, but we want to play the best teams when they're at their best. You don't want to be, with all due respect to Georgia and the Barbarians, we want to be playing the best teams in the world, because that's how you get better.
I obviously think it's no secret that Andre's ball carry. I mean, he's devastating with ball in hand. I think he's also got a great understanding about the game, like Damien has as well. And I think the two of them, it's been so great to see how closely they work with each other to try and better each other's games. And I think that's exactly what we're all about as a unit over here. How the centres help each other to grow. We've actually buddied up, and it's constant feedback from the guy in your same position to see where you can get better, where you can sharpen the other guy's game, and how he can sharpen your game. So I think Andre is definitely devastating with ball in hand, and it's a great guy for us to have to get the team going forward, and like we mentioned earlier, to get that attack on the front foot and get us that quick ball. So I think that's probably one of his big standouts where he's really good. I think a few of the guys wanted to give Andy Edwards an uppercut. No, but it's been really tough. I think we all know that the game's getting quicker, more physical. People are just becoming bigger, faster and stronger. So I think in parallel with that, the training needs to become more intense and more demanding as well. So I think it's been exactly that. I think we've trained at a level and intensity that's, if not higher than the game. And I think playing rugby when you're fit is lots of fun. I think playing when you're unfit is not fun at all. So I think we've got a lot of bang out of what we've put into the last 3 weeks of training camp, and I think hopefully it'll be enjoyable when we go out into the field and hopefully reap those benefits of what we've put in over the last 3 weeks. I think if you look at a test match, it's our plan versus their plan, and I think it's the team that can stay on task and execute their plan the best. And I think for us, that will be our only focus, is about staying on task, nailing your role as an individual, and then nailing your role, what's required from you, from the team. So I think, just about staying on task, doing your job well, and the rest is all non-related to rugby. I think we just need to stay on task and nail our roles. That's the only thing that matters for us.
Well, they were definitely they definitely were far more direct, and they got their breakdown going, and I think that they used their big ball carriers to get the momentum. I think that they were much more confrontational. I don't think anyone thought that was the real Australia in the first test, and I think the second test, third test, that they started to look a lot more like what Joe Schmidt would have been coaching. You got direct carries, you got instant breakdown, quick ball. It allowed them to play with a bit of tempo. Whereas in the first test against the Lions, they never got any quick ball, and everyone was praising the Lions for the defence, which was excellent. But I felt that Australia would have been irritated with how they performed in that first test, but they certainly picked it up massively over the second and third test. Probably to do with their ball carry. Yeah, what you're saying isn't wrong. That like when you've got guys who are inexperienced, you would ideally like to be winning when you're putting them on, or more comfortable. But they're selected because we feel that they're good enough, that if it's tight, that we bring those guys on, because it's the amount of work that the front row has to get through. Like you rarely ever see a guy play 80 minutes anymore. So the guys, when you put them in the squad, you have to be prepared to say, well, if it's tight, we'll make the change. We'll bring these guys on because we trust them, and we do. They've been performing for us, and I hope that they'll perform as well for us at the weekend. I'm proud. I'm proud whenever we win, because genuinely, like, all the coaches coach across all areas. So like Sticky's helping with me, Felix coming in, Rassi jumps in, you've Dan, you've Dion, you've Dwayne, Tony Brown will even lean in, and I think that's why things operate. If you operate in silos where the defence coach only cares about, obviously I was happy that we didn't concede against Italy, but I'm always happy when the team wins, because if you start putting all your eggs in one basket and saying it only matters if this department goes well, then you start missing tricks, and you're not progressing, together. So I was happy with it, but like I've really enjoyed seeing so many players get game time. That's the thing that pleased me most over those first 4 games, was to see how many players came in, and to see how hard they trained, and to see that they were. You get young lads like Ethan Hooker coming in. He's competing against Jesse, and he's fighting. He's doing his best, and he's holding his own. They're the things that make you confident, and that's what I really enjoyed across the 4 series, as well as that Italian result.
Yeah, I think he's done an unbelievable job when he's played at centre. I think a lot of people don't realise the rugby brain he's got in him as well. He's a proper student of the game. Does a lot of work behind closed doors and stuff that no one sees, and then I think he's got an engine on him as well. He's a great athlete that can keep working repeatedly, I think he's got an unbelievable future ahead of him, he's someone that's a really good rugby player and a really good team man as well. So it's great to be competing and working with a guy like that. It's awesome for South African rugby.
With Australia and what I know from the way Joe Schmidt coaches, every single player, there'll be a big onus on every single player to be effective at the breakdown, because they play so many phases. You can't just have a couple of dedicated cleaners. So for us, it's a little bit similar in that all 15 players need to be proficient in terms of our defense, in terms of how we make our initial contacts, because if you give their ball carriers any momentum, that brings their breakdown players, the additional 2 breakdown players, into the game. So that's going to be a real battle for us. Marco, Sia and Peter Steff, like, really, really mobile, excellent tacklers, comfortable on the ball. So the reality is we've so many good players here that it's like when someone gets a chance, you're just excited to see who's really going to take it when they get their opportunity, because we've rotated so much, and so far it hasn't bitten us. I don't think you can be overcautious with regards to brain injuries, because it's so serious. I think that there's probably a little bit of I enjoy when people are trying to make the game safer, because it means it's long term a lot more sustainable, and you get more parents more comfortable to get their kids playing rugby and to really be ripping in when they're playing, not playing soft. I don't know. We haven't had any. I certainly don't know anything about where World Rugby have been in contact with us about it. But when I coached at Harlequins, I think in 2021, we brought in the gum shields that were pinging whenever the players received a head contact that was above a certain level, and sometimes as a coach you're not always sure, if there isn't reliable data, how much to trust, how much trust to put into this. But we felt that we worked it quite well, and we gave certain players who'd had like high impact load from the weekend, we would just manage them a little bit at the start of the week. And in club rugby, when you have to try and get your best players in the field consistently, it's probably a little bit, obviously you get your best players in the field in international rugby, but you can always call people up and rotate people around. We found we got good reward from it. So to answer your question, I haven't heard anything from World Rugby, but I think it's positive. It may not be the answer now, but I'm sure they'll work their way through it.